All right, so we are back. I hope everyone enjoyed the rest of the group speeches. Now we're going to talk about the conclusion. So again, here's my lovely mother and handsome father. I'll give them a wave, everybody. There they are. So they're going to join us for the conclusion of this project as well. So I know a lot of the things that maybe the other group members talked about may have seemed daunting or seemed difficult to comprehend, but I want to offer some solution. I want to offer some hope in this conclusion. There is a solution, and that's actually one of the chapters in the AA Big Book is called There Is a Solution. But anyway, in the solution that we're going to talk about here, I'm going to summarize some of the things that some of my other group members have talked about in this speech. And that is, when we talk about the models of addiction, I think a combination of the biopsychosocial model has to do with addiction. I think the nature versus nurture argument plays into that some. A combination of the genes that someone has and the environment that someone grows up in. When we talk about the glamorization of drug and alcohol, a lot of times people focus towards the ones that are talking about the drinking and the using and paying less attention to some of those actors and actresses and musicians who have found their way into recovery. And I think those are the ones that really do need to be celebrated. Eugene also talked about the co-occurring disorders, the dual diagnosis. And I think one thing that people need to be aware of is that one doesn't necessarily cause the other, but a lot of times the two go hand in hand with the substance use and the mental health. And then there are a number of resources available, which I will again cover here. So again, when we're talking about the models of addiction, we talk about the biopsychosocial. Talk about the biology, the social aspect, and the psychology that go together to give somebody the opportunity to become more likely to be an alcohol or drug addict. We also talk about the disease model and the different ways that alcohol and drugs affect the brain. And that's from the basal, the prefrontal, and the amygdala in the brain. And those are just all different ways that the pleasure reward is hit, the different neurotransmitters are affected. And so it's a combination of these that I think gives somebody that genetic predisposition. Now, when we come and we talk about this nature versus nurture argument, I don't think it's one or the other. I think based on our presentation, hopefully you've seen that it's a combination of both. That yes, our genetics do determine some, but it is also our environment, our experiences, our behaviors, the things that we lean to, maybe the age that someone starts using, that can really determine if somebody's going to go on to become an alcoholic or an addict. And a lot of this stuff just doesn't get taught, especially down in the schools. A lot of times, especially with the social media culture that we live in, people look towards the rock stars and look towards the athletes and look towards the musicians and try to model their life after them. And I think there's something to be said for that, but I think one of the things that we can do is try to point our children and our friends and our family towards those that have found their way into recovery. People like Rob Lowe or Robert Downey Jr. or even Oprah Winfrey have had their substance abuse issues and found their way in. And I know a lot of them try to take roles in films or try to take part in public awareness to try to spread the message of recovery, not just addiction. When talking about co-occurring disorders, again, it's not that the alcohol and drugs cause the mental health issues or vice versa, but again, a lot of times those do go hand in hand. And I know in the presentation there would have been some good information about that. But again, I just want to relay that a lot of times people don't know that one and the other can go together. The drugs and alcohol, it's almost a chicken and the egg. The drugs and alcohol may have made a pre-existing mental health disease worse, or someone may have been self-medicating a pre-existing and exacerbated it there. So just to reiterate what our group stance was with our problem solution statement, again, the lack of education has caused a misunderstanding about addiction, which prevents those in need of help from seeking the help that maybe they need. So what is the solution? Well, as a group, we narrowed all of these solutions down to one here, which would be to hold community events based on the education of addiction, mental health disorders, maybe teach some things like how to administer Narcan, warning signs to look out for in loved ones. When we discuss the cost, a lot of these are very reasonable. You could have various community facilities donate their time, people, resources They already have a couple of these here in Licking County, two that I have been part of. One is called Steps for Change, or Stomp Out the Stigma, and the other one is they do a overdose awareness. And so both of those bring people from the community together to discuss drug and alcohol overdose and things to look out for in administering Narcan. And I think that those could be sponsored and also funded by local community taxes and community outreach centers. Both very feasible. The negative consequences that could potentially be there are people taking advantage of these events, maybe turning them into like a public debate, which we really don't want to see. And it might not reach the masses, but I think if every small community had something like this, you could reach a whole lot of people. The time that you would need, just time to form groups, time to establish meeting locations, time for getting grants, creating proposals. Well, one thing that you do have to take into consideration is weather. So usually these events are held in the spring, the summer, or the fall, maybe with an indoor option. The resources available, we've got the health departments that we've taken part in these, the local drug and alcohol treatment centers. We are lucky enough to have Licking Memorial Hospital here with us, Job and Family Services, and other local government agencies and homeless outreach projects. The effectiveness here, it's almost determined by the willingness of the people involved, the participation of those in the community. But the events that I have worked personally, we've seen a good turnout, and I think we did get a lot of good information out into the public. And again, the public acceptance here, I think, again, is very dependent on the area that you live in, how the event is put on, and the different things that you offer at those events. You don't just want a bunch of booths with people talking, you want to have people engaging and talking about very specific things and answering questions that people in the community might have. So one thing I wanted to run down again, if you or anyone you know is struggling with drug or alcohol, here's the Narcotics Anonymous of Central Ohio website. Here's the Alcoholics Anonymous of Central Ohio website. Celebrate Recovery, which puts a little bit more of a religious spin on things. And something called Smart Recovery, which kind of leans away from the religious aspect. So all four of those are very good resources for you or anyone you know that might be struggling with drug or alcohol. Also wanted to remind you guys about the Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Administration, or SAMHSA, the Mental Health Recovery for Licking County, MHR, and the ADAM-H, or the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Board of Franklin County. All of these websites can point you in the right direction for different treatment options, treatment centers, and even some of the AA meetings. And just to tie up with the mental health, again, here is the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, the International Bipolar Foundation, the Schizophrenia and Related Disorders of America, and the National Alliance of Mental Health. So again, if you or anyone you know is struggling with their mental health or with their drug and alcohol, please point them towards one of these sites and try to get them the help that they need. And these last few slides are the resources and the sites where we found the information and the photographs used in this project. Thank you very much.